You know those days where you just want a quiet grocery run after a lovely date, but the universe decides to throw a full-blown Karen tantrum your way? Yeah, I had one of those days, and trust me, this one's a doozy. It all went down at that one grocery store that rhymes with strafe, you know, the one with the surprisingly gourmet mac and cheese options. My fiancé and I had just finished a really nice date night, and we figured, hey, why not make a quick stop for some essentials before heading home? We split up, efficiency, people, with him grabbing the manly stuff and me heading straight for the dairy aisle, specifically to brave the battlefield of mac and cheese choices. Now I was feeling pretty good about myself. I was still in my date night outfit, a sharp black jacket, a matching black skirt, and some killer heels. It's my go-to, business look, even if that business is just picking out dinner. Maybe that was my first mistake, looking too put together in a grocery store. As I was deep in contemplation between the familiar comfort of craft and the adventurous promise of safe stray brand mac and cheese, I noticed her. A woman, easily in her late 50s or early 60s, with that distinct, I demand to speak to your manager aura already radiating off her like bad perfume. She was hovering near the soup aisle, huffing and puffing over some sale item, probably about the price not being exactly what she expected. I just rolled my eyes internally and went back to my very serious mac and cheese dilemma. But Karen wasn't done being a menace to society. She must have seen me earlier, maybe when I put back a jar of fancy olives I decided against. Whatever it was, she decided I was the perfect target. She cleared her throat loud enough to startle a pigeon, then stomped her foot on the tile. "Hey, lady," she barked, her voice sharp as a tack. "I need some help over here." I barely glanced up, still clutching my potential mac and cheese purchases. "Oh, me?" I asked, a little confused. "Sorry, I don't actually work here." I even gave her a little polite shrug. Her eyes narrowed. "Well, obviously I need help," she snapped like I'd just insulted her grandmother. "I ask you a simple question and you give me that attitude." Okay, now my own attitude was starting to perk up. "I ask you a simple question and you give me that attitude," I mimicked a little too quickly. "Seriously. How do you even get to be a manager with customer service like that?" The words were out before I could properly filter them. I wasn't even trying to be rude, but her entitlement just rubbed me raw. That was it. She stomped right up to me, practically invading my personal space. Her face was turning a shade of angry purple. "You're everything that's wrong with the youth today," she hissed, shaking her head as if in profound disappointment. Such disrespect. I tried to regain my composure. "Ma'am," I said, forcing a calmer tone, "if you need assistance, you really need to find someone who actually works here. There are cashiers up front, or you can look for someone in a uniform." I gestured vaguely towards the front of the store. She let out a scoff so loud a few other shoppers glanced our way. "Stop lying," she snarled, and then without warning she smacked the box of mac and cheese right out of my hand. It clattered to the floor. "Do you think I'm stupid? You are an effing manager here, you're wearing the costume." She gestured wildly at my perfectly normal black jacket. Just then my fiancé, bless his heart, must have heard the commotion. He came zooming around the corner, eyes wide. "What's happening, babe?" he asked, instantly sizing up the situation. "This woman thinks I work here and just assaulted me over a box of mac and cheese." I fumed, pointing at the spilled pasta. My fiancé turned to Kieran, his face incredulous. "Ma'am, she doesn't work here. Why would you do that?" he asked, shaking his head. "Do you really think everyone dressed remotely nice is a manager?" Kieran just stared at him, momentarily stunned, then refocused her rage. "Well, I know she is," she insisted, jabbing a finger in my direction. "I saw her putting back that jar earlier. She was working." My fiancé just rolled his eyes. "Go find a real manager, lady," he said, pulling me slightly behind him. And as if on cue, the actual store manager, a young guy looking incredibly tired, appeared, drawn by the escalating volume. Kieran immediately pivoted, practically preening. "Finally, manager, these two need to be fired immediately. They're rude, disrespectful, and she even assaulted me," she shrieked, lying through her teeth. The manager looked at the spilled mac and cheese, then at my fiance, then at me, and finally at Karen. He looked like he'd dealt with this a million times. "Ma'am," he said, his voice surprisingly firm despite his weary expression, "you need to apologize for hitting her and knocking that item out of her hand." Karen's mouth dropped open. Apologize, but she deserved it for talking back to me and lying about working here. The manager slowly shook his head. "Ma'am, these two are customers. They don't work here. If you don't apologize for causing a disturbance and physically accosting a customer, we will call the police." That was the magic word. Karen's face went from indignant to utterly furious. With a high-pitched screech, she grabbed a nearby can of diced tomatoes and threw it on the ground, then swiped her arm through an entire display of soup cans, sending them scattering everywhere. "I'm out of here," she bellowed, before turning on her heel and waddling out of the store as fast as her rage would carry her. My fiancé and I just exchanged a look, half shocked, half amused. We helped the manager pick up the scattered soups, laughing a little at the absurdity of it all. He asked if we wanted to press charges, but honestly, we just wanted to go home. I did offer to give a statement if he wanted to make a police report for the damages and assault, just to cover his back. And guess what? He ended up giving us a $30 gift card for our trouble. So yeah, I got some free groceries out of it. Not a bad haul for being mistaken for a mac and cheese aisle manager. Anyway, that's my latest adventure in the wild world of retail Karens. Stay safe out there, folks.
Okay, real talk, if you're still here after 2 of these chaotic Reddit tales, you're probably one of us. Go ahead, hit subscribe. It's free chaos every episode. Now, let's dive into story number 3.
All right, Reddit, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you a story that's so wild, so utterly bonkers, you might just wonder if I made it up. But trust me, every ridiculous, racially charged, stiff bristle brush-wielding moment of it is true. This happened back in the infamous year of 2020. Remember the toilet paper wars? Good times. I'm Kieran, and I was working at a small Chinese hot case joint inside a bigger grocery store. It was chaos, frankly. The great TP shortage had everyone on edge. Our actual store manager had just up and vanished. Seriously, poof. And I was basically running the back kitchen by myself. Picture me, knee-deep in fried rice and General Tso's, just trying to keep the hungry masses fed and not burn the place down. So one particularly Monday-shaped Tuesday, I'm in the back, apron smeared with what I hoped was just soy sauce, wrestling with a gargantuan pot of sesame chicken. Suddenly, I hear it, a sharp, high-pitched squawking from the front. It's not the usual "where's the ketchup" squawk. This one had venom. My curiosity, as it often does, got the better of me. I wiped my hands on my apron, grabbed a particularly stiff bristle brush I'd been using for a stubborn pan, foreshadowing, and ambled out to investigate. And there she was. Let's call her Mrs. Grumpy Pants, though Mrs. Pure Malice might be more accurate. She was a woman of a certain age, all tight gray curls, a floral blouse, and a face that looked like it had been perpetually sucking on a lemon. She was red-faced, pointing a bony finger, and absolutely laying into one of my sweet, soft-spoken Chinese coworkers. "I am not being served by her," she shrieked, her voice cutting through the already noisy store. "Where is a white person? I want a white person to serve me. Do you even understand English, dearie?" My blood pressure spiked. I wasn't exactly front of house, but I was white, and apparently that made me her target. Before I could even open my mouth, she swiveled, spotted me, and pointed that accusatory finger straight at me, stiff bristle brush and all. "There, you. Come serve me. I want some orange chicken, and make sure it's fresh, not that stuff." "Oh, hell no." I took a deep breath. "Ma'am," I said, trying to keep my voice even, "I actually work in the kitchen. The lovely lady right there can help you." I gestured to my coworker, who looked like she was about to cry. That just set Mrs. Grumpy Pants off like a firecracker. "Don't you dare tell me what to do. I'm a paying customer. You're clearly just hiding in the back, probably doing nothing. Get over here and serve me, you little..." She launched into a truly impressive string of racial slurs, aimed generally at the Asian staff, but somehow also at me for not complying. The whole store was silent, watching. This wasn't just a bad day, this was an event. Knowing this wasn't going to de-escalate on my own, I calmly walked over to the intercom. Paging Mr. Smooth, customer assistance needed at the hot case, please. Mr. Smooth was our new interim manager, a guy who actually was pretty smooth. Always trying to diffuse things with a calm demeanor. He appeared seconds later, looking a little harried. He tried, bless him. He approached Mrs. Grumpy Pants with a practiced smile, but she was beyond reason. She continued her tirade, escalating her demands and her bigoted slurs. Mr. Smooth's face gradually lost its smoothness and hardened. "Ma'am," he said, his voice firm, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We don't tolerate that kind of language or behavior here." "I will sue you," she screeched, eyes bulging. "I'll have your jobs, I'll have you all arrested." But she was already backing away, probably sensing she'd pushed her luck too far. As she stormed out, still muttering threats of lawsuits and vague promises of bodily harm to all of us, something just clicked in me. Maybe it was the adrenaline, maybe it was the absurdity of the whole thing, or maybe I was just tired of her yelling. Without thinking, I raised my voice, a genuine smile of pure unadulterated sarcasm plastered on my face. "Thank you for shopping with us, ma'am. Please come again soon." Her head snapped back around. The look she gave me was pure, unadulterated hatred. If looks could kill, I'd have melted into a puddle of sesame chicken right there. She let out a guttural growl and stomped out, slamming the automatic doors behind her with surprising force. My coworkers, who'd been frozen in terror, erupted. "Kieran, you legend! I can't believe you said that. That was amazing." I felt a rush of satisfaction, basking in the momentary victory. Phew, I thought, that's over. Oh, you sweet summer child, Kieran. It was not over. Barely 15 minutes later, just as I was getting back to that sesame chicken, the doors burst open again. This time, it was a man. He looked a lot like Mrs. Grumpy Pants, but with less gray hair and a lot more muscle. His face was a thundercloud. "Who disrespected my mother?" he roared, scanning the store. His eyes landed on me. My heart sank into my stomach. This guy was a good foot taller than me and clearly had anger management issues that ran in the family. He stomped towards me, fists clenched, looking ready to introduce my face to the tile floor. I instinctively tightened my grip on the stiff bristle brush I was still holding. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Throw the sesame chicken at him? He lunged. It was a clumsy, enraged charge. And then, bless the greasy floor of a Chinese restaurant, he slipped. He didn't just stumble. He went down like a sack of bricks, head smacking against the cold tile with a sickening thud. The stiff bristle brush, still in my hand, made a surprisingly good defensive prop. I didn't hit him, but my raised arm and the brush probably contributed to his overreaction and subsequent fall. The entire store went silent again. My coworkers, bless their quick-thinking hearts, were already on the phone, calling 911. Within minutes, the place was swarming with paramedics attending to the now groaning son, and police officers who needed my side of the story. I spent the rest of my shift, not cooking, but reliving every absurd, racist, head-banging detail to a very patient officer. Fast forward a few weeks, I was required to testify in court. It was surreal. The assistant district attorney was incredibly helpful, guiding me through the process. Seeing Mrs. Grumpy Pants again, sitting across the courtroom, was like watching a particularly bad movie sequel. Her testimony was a masterclass in denial and victimhood, but she couldn't hide her continued thinly veiled, and not so thinly veiled, racism and general disdain for anyone who wasn't her. The cherry on top. Her son, it turned out, already had a few outstanding warrants, which this little incident helpfully brought to light. So, he was already behind bars, not just for assaulting me, but for his previous shenanigans. Looking back, it's still hard to believe it all happened. The great toilet paper shortage, the vanishing manager, the racist granny, her ill-fated son, and me, Kieran, just trying to cook some orange chicken. What did I learn? Well, first, never underestimate the comedic and defensive power of a stiff bristle brush. Second, standing up for what's right, even if it feels terrifying, is always worth it. And third, sometimes, the universe serves up a little karmic justice on a greasy floor, and all you can do is watch it unfold, brush in hand. So yeah, that's my story, fellow Redditors. It was a wild ride, full of drama, a dash of the absurd, and a whole lot of "I don't work here, lady, but I do work here, and you're still wrong." Stay safe out there, and remember, sometimes a stiff bristle brush is more than just a cleaning tool.
Ever have one of those days where you're just minding your own business, completely chill, and then boom, you're starring in some stranger's personal drama? Yeah, that was my Tuesday. Jace here, back with another tale, and trust me, this one's a doozy. I was at the supersized electronics store, you know, the one just browsing the gaming section, totally in my element. Had my trusty lanyard on, mostly because it's where I keep my car keys and my gym pass, convenience right. Anyway, I was deep in thought, probably debating if I really needed that new headset, when this woman, probably mid-50s, with a permanent scowl already etched onto her face, swooped in. She didn't even say, "Excuse me." She just marched right up to me, pointed at the lanyard, then at a distant display and barked, "You, where are the USB-C cables? The good ones, not that cheap junk." Now I'm usually a pretty helpful guy. "Oh hey," I said, a little taken aback by her abruptness. "I don't actually work here, but I think the cables are usually in that aisle over there near the checkout." I even gestured vaguely. She squinted at me, then at my lanyard again, like she was trying to decipher ancient runes. "What do you mean you don't work here? You're wearing a badge." I chuckled, trying to keep it light. "Nah, this is just my gym pass. I'm just a customer, same as you, happy to point you towards an actual employee if you like." Her scowl deepened, turning into something more menacing. "Don't you try to pull that with me. I saw you looking at those headsets. You're clearly loafing around. Now stop wasting my time and get me a manager, and then show me where the high-speed USB-C cables are from the back. I know you have them." My blood pressure started to tick up. "Ma'am, seriously, I do not work here. I can't get anything from the back. I'm just trying to buy a headset." I took a step back, feeling the weird energy radiating off her. She wasn't having it. Her voice ratcheted up a notch, echoing slightly in the vast store. "This is ridiculous. I demand you show me some respect. You're incredibly rude. I want your name and employee number right now. I'm going to have you fired for this insolence." "There's nothing to fire me from because I don't work here," I retorted, throwing my hands up in exasperation. "Just leave me alone." I tried to walk away, but she actually stepped in front of me, blocking my path. "Oh no, you don't," she shrieked. "You're not walking away from me until you apologize for being so disrespectful and refusing to do your job." Just then, a real employee, a young guy named Mark, looking utterly bewildered, jogged over. He'd clearly heard the ruckus. "Is everything okay here, ma'am, sir?" "No, it's not okay," she screeched, pointing a finger at me. This man is refusing to help me. He's been incredibly rude, and now he won't even tell me his employee number. He just stands there loafing when I need help." Mark looked at me, then back at her. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but he's not an employee. I've never seen him before. He's just a customer." "Nonsense, he's clearly trying to avoid doing work. I want a manager now." So Mark, bless his heart, went to fetch a manager. A few tense minutes later, a harried-looking manager, Mr. Henderson, arrived, looking like he'd just finished wrestling a particularly stubborn printer. He listened patiently to her increasingly exaggerated account, then turned to me. "Sir, can you confirm you don't work for us?" he asked, a sympathetic look in his eyes. "That's right, sir," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "I was just looking at headsets when she came up to me, mistook my gym pass for an employee badge, and started demanding I get her cables from the back. I explained I don't work here, and she just escalated into, well, this." Mr. Henderson turned back to the woman. "Ma'am, as both he and Mark have told you, this gentleman is not an employee. He's a customer. He has no obligation to help you and certainly no ability to go to the back. Your demands are out of line, and your behavior is completely unacceptable." Her jaw dropped. "Unacceptable? He's the one who was rude. He owes me an apology for his insolence." And this is where Mr. Henderson really shined. He looked her dead in the eye, his voice firm. "No, ma'am, he doesn't owe you anything. You, however, owe him an apology for making false accusations, disrupting his shopping, and verbally harassing him. You will apologize to him, or I will have to ask you to leave the store immediately." The woman's face cycled through shock, indignation, and finally a grudging defeat. She mumbled something under her breath, avoiding my gaze. "Fine, I'm sorry. I guess I made a mistake." "I didn't quite catch that, ma'am," Mr. Henderson prompted, his arms crossed. She puffed out her cheeks, then practically spat it out. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause trouble." I just nodded, a small, satisfied smile finally spreading across my face. "Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. Mr. Henderson then gently but firmly escorted her away, probably to the door. Mark just gave me a weary grin and a thumbs up as I finally made my way to the checkout, headset in hand. And that, my friends, is how I accidentally became the hero of the electronics aisle and got a Karen to apologize. Sometimes you just gotta stand your ground. Until next time, stay awesome and maybe don't wear your gym pass to big box stores. Jace out.
This one fits right in with what you just saw.